it's cool. Like, even if he's saying something about you that's untrue, like, let him. Even if he's saying something about you that's true, let him. You know what I mean? Like, there's a adult in the room that comes and says, like, yo, your initial instinct is not worth it. You know what I mean? Because your initial instinct could lead to a movie that you've seen so many times.
Right.
You know what I mean? And on top of that, just on a spiritual level, it's like, yo, what's that going to do? Like, so I'm ramping it up on that verse to just give you insight. Yeah, you never really got that from me, but it's like, just to give you insight into like, yo, that's how it feels. And I know people feel that and can relate to that. Cause it's like, yo, that's, you know, for better or for worse, that's a knee-jerk reaction to disrespect. You know what I mean? It's like it's a defensiveness.
Unwarranted disrespect. You know, I think you pointed out, like, look, when I was broke and struggling and trying to piece it together, like I was on my own figuring that out, you know? So for you to then come at me now when I'm doing like something good for myself, it's understandable.
Yeah. It's cool. Like, even if he's saying something about you that's untrue, like, let him. Even if he's saying something about you that's true, let him. You know what I mean? Like, there's a adult in the room that comes and says, like, yo, your initial instinct is not worth it. You know what I mean? Because your initial instinct could lead to a movie that you've seen so many times.
Right.
You know what I mean? And on top of that, just on a spiritual level, it's like, yo, what's that going to do? Like, so I'm ramping it up on that verse to just give you insight. Yeah, you never really got that from me, but it's like, just to give you insight into like, yo, that's how it feels. And I know people feel that and can relate to that. Cause it's like, yo, that's, you know, for better or for worse, that's a knee-jerk reaction to disrespect. You know what I mean? It's like it's a defensiveness.
Unwarranted disrespect. You know, I think you pointed out, like, look, when I was broke and struggling and trying to piece it together, like I was on my own figuring that out, you know? So for you to then come at me now when I'm doing like something good for myself, it's
so that's J. Cole speaking on why restraint is more than a reaction. I thought it was a great piece to close the night on. I think a lot of times people take your silence for weakness, but I think restraint is something that really shows a lot of maturity and growth when it comes to reacting a certain way or getting out of character. I think it's a very big discipline that a lot of people haven't mastered just yet. I know some people might call him soft, or some people might feel that this is something that, but I always feel like every power, it has a moment to be used. I don't think just because you might display one power at a certain moment, it changes who you are, especially for me. And I think men really need to understand that, because a lot of times your toughness can end you somewhere where you really don't want to be. And I think you learn that over time as well. So they say a wise man once said nothing. And I think you can take that analogy all the way to turning the other cheek as well. Like a wise man, who knows how many fights he turned down just to be able to live another day and give another person some wisdom, some structure, some discipline. So how do you guys feel about what J. Cole was saying, that restraint matters more than the reaction?
Sometimes people are just saying something to try to get a reaction out of you. Silence gives consent too, I would say. If you, I don't know. Chloe, you waited too long to speak. Go ahead.
That's because I watched this. I don't know how you brought this up. Like you brought this up, and I watched this on Saturday, and I could hear it but not hear it fully. But to hear it now, it's like I dig where he's coming from. But I think was he explaining like what happened in the Kendrick situation, or was that an?
I think that was the overarching conversation and why he put it in his music instead of actually like responding the way people wanted him to respond.
Okay. When that happened, initially, he was right. He shouldn't have said nothing. Like he shouldn't have. What was the album that he dropped and deleted? Can you remember? Because the only one I remember hearing the song about the Port Antonio or something like that. That one went hard, but I don't think it was about that. But initially, if he's talking about that, I would say he shouldn't have said nothing from the get green. Then no one would have had nothing to say about him bagging out. You know what I mean? Like putting that out there was kind of like, shoving somebody and then run. You know what I'm saying? So that restraint that he's talking about, he should have showed that initially before he even dropped that album. You know what I mean? If that's what he's referring to, because I would have to put it on a instance or a situation, because him just saying that be like, sure. But if he's talking about that,
do you guys look at restraint as a strength or a weakness?
Strength is a strength.
Strength.
It's a strength.
Because to hold it all together when you really just want to go all out and just jump in, that's a strength.
Yeah. So I pulled up the definition for restraint. It said it's the act of controlling or limiting one's actions, emotions, words, or use of force, even when there is the ability and desire to do otherwise. Depending on the context, it can mean self-control, the ability to manage emotions, impulses, and behavior. Use of force, deliberately limiting the amount of force used in a conflict or law enforcement situation. Physical restriction, something that prevents a person or object from moving freely. Synonyms for this would be self-control, discipline, moderation, composure, temperance, caution, and control.
Strength.
It said restraint is the discipline to stop yourself from doing what you can do because you understand the consequences of what you should not do.
Strength is definitely a strength. Before and after the definition, definitely after the definition. Yeah.
So why do y'all think in life everybody chooses to label people to be a certain way when they are demonstrating restraint? How do we get to that pocket in the world?
Overall, because I think no one has ever. I think a lot of people haven't been to the epitome of their actions. Just because they've been in some tussles, just because they may have had a gun battle or two, or whatever the case may be, they haven't been to the epitome of their actions, where you're one step from hell or heaven. You know what I mean? Like I could have been out of here. So having that restraint means you have like mastered yourself and know that, man, you know what? I've been there, and guess what? I've done that. So I don't need to do that. You know what I mean? Like if you know for a fact that if you put your hands on somebody, you can hurt them. You'll be, you know what I mean? Like that's when I see, like, whenever a man and a woman get into an argument, and then that man getting ready to put his hands like he getting ready to, like, that's his knee, that, like he said, a knee-jerk reaction. But he stops himself and be like, man, if I put my hands on this woman, man, I'll whoop a dude. So I know I won't put my hands on this woman. I hurt her. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So it's definitely, I say restraint is a strength.
What you think, Ray?
I'm with what I said earlier. Being able to restrain yourself and not just leap off into react like quickly. I view that as a strength. Some people are quick to act, quick to judge, quick to, make moves without thinking, so I look at it as a strength.
I think too, I think too, a lot of people, this kind of goes back to when we were talking about on same soil, different roots, right? I think a lot of people assume that they're not on a certain side of the fence just because now they act a certain way because of like things that may have happened to them or from a response. Like I think sometimes people put toughness into like a defensive zone.
Mm-hmm.
Like and like toughness to me doesn't really lie in a defensive zone. I think toughness falls in the hands of the person who's more offensive. Like the person who's controlling the ball, who's actually moving the room, who's actually moving the needle. Like when you think about like a boss or somebody like a kingpin or something, he's moving every needle. He's moving every chess piece. And nobody don't even know who he is but a few people. But he's controlling everything. And he has a lot of restraint because he can utilize any piece to do something because he's in full control. Mm. Then you think about the peons that are on the street fighting and killing each other over the product. Mm-hmm. They have a lack of restraint and think that it's because they toughness and they standing up for something. But actually the toughness is at the very top of the pinnacle. Like, because that person's showing all restraint because they can shut down the operation. They can flood the operation. Like, and I think a lot of people now feel that I think a lot of people now feel like they pick up all these traits as they get older or learn from lessons and think that they're no longer these people, but you're still that person. At the core of who you are is the core of who you are. You can change. You could change. You could develop some talents. You can go train in a martial arts or something and become a better fighter. But the core of who you are is the core of who you are. Like I don't think people really grasp that. Like you take somebody who grew up their whole life fighting, right? Yeah, they probably took some L's, but they're a fighter. Like that's what they do.
Ain't like, nobody undefeated.
Yeah, so you're worrying about taking an L when that person's okay with taking the L, which makes him more dangerous. He's more dangerous. A person who's okay with the L and just want to shoot the fair one is more dangerous.
It's for real.
I would agree. Yeah,
they have nothing to lose because you're worrying about losing. They win off of respect. Like we're gonna do this regardless. I ain't worried about winning or losing. And it's kind of like what Plug said, right? Like when people reach the bottom of that totem pole, when you hit rock bottom, let's say you do some time and you start to see people. Like my brother-in-law told, like in the pen and all that stuff, nobody cares who won or lost.
No, they just care if you fought.
Yeah, nobody even walking around talking about who won or who. Like if you think about it, most people in the pen who are fighting, they cover up their fists. They're trying not to leave evidence. They're not in the game to just damage you. You know what I mean? Some people do get damaged, you know what I mean, in the midst of it. But like you like a wounded dog, you heal up yourself in that and behind them closed doors, make sure no guard don't see you. But when you come out, you got more respect garnered for you taking that L than you would have just walking around never having nobody to know who you are or who you stand for. But I tell people, yeah, go ahead. I tell people at the core, you are who you are at the core. That's why I always tell people like trauma responses can be very dangerous. A person who's impacted or hurt by trauma, you might start to build skills and abilities due to what you went through, but you can be very vulnerable still because at the core of who you were already exposed at that point. It's a deeper conversation. I know some people are going to look at it differently. Yeah, it's a deeper conversation. Like it's a real deep conversation.
Like didn't nobody? I done seen it go down, and didn't nobody think about that. You know what I'm saying? Like the only one they wanted to see get Molly whopped was the one that came in with the wolf tickets, because somebody gonna want to go to that show. Somebody gonna want to go to that show. Want to say, hey man, I ain't with none of that. And then somebody say, you know what? Yeah, let's go and get them $100.
And then too, that's why you run into incidents like you see, right? Like a person who has a lot of restraint, are some of the most dangerous people, because when they finally have to act out, they might act out in such a dangerous manner. And it's a very unique position though. But I think J. Cole he was hidden there. I understand it. Like, I try not to take it and make it personal towards him, because people can look at him a certain way, but just growing up and experiencing the things I've seen throughout life and stuff, I seen some people who definitely had restraint for very positive reasons. And when I seen them let that restraint go, it wasn't a good thing. Like, it wasn't good. It wasn't good for nobody on the other end. And it could be the most quiet person in the room. So
yeah, I mean, I practice restraint all day, every day at my 9 to 5 until you cross me wrong. And one person got the other side of rain, because it took that one time, that one day that I was just fed up, and they got the other side of rain. They got the other side, and they don't come at me that way anymore. So sometimes even if you practice restraint, people will test you and continue to test you until you say, "Hey, we're not doing this no more." So
I'm gonna let you read these comments, and then Plug, I'm gonna let you answer Classic what he said about your story time, because I think I have a different outlook of it, but I'll let you answer for yourself. Here you go, Ray.
Okay. Penny said Cole speaking facts. He also said he's talking about the discipline that's missing. Classic said when they go low, we fighting in the sewer. J. Cole can shut his soft tail up too. Classic said turn the other cheek so they can slap the other cheek. Classic said what would Jesus do? Classic said J. Cole has been in 2 fights total his whole life, and both were involuntary. Soft. Classic said J. Cole softer than rain. Penny laughing at Classic. Classic said album was called Might Delete This Later. Boy too soft to be hard on a track. Classic said he backed out of a verbal battle. Supermax said we adults, so it's mutual respect. You respect, I want to go home. Plug over there. Then I respect you. Don't want your bones broken. Classic said individual case basis. He also said restraint can have you weak when you need to be strong. Ramon, welcome in, Ramon. It's been a minute. Restraint is used as an emasculation tool for women today. Classic said most people got restraint by default because they can't do ish. Muriel said because some people view it as a weakness because they don't know the meaning of the word and they count it as vulnerability. Okay, Muriel. Classic said if you've exercised restraint your entire life, you've established no dominance anywhere. Ramon said, i.e., you shouldn't desire more than one woman.
Okay.
Penny said also we view it as weakness because of TV and media portrayals of Black men.
I like that, Penny.
Classic said you check somebody verbally or physically once at the right time and you have respect from all in proximity going forward. Classic said I've seen a grown man exercise restraint when being cussed out by a female manager in a board meeting. He was never respected again. He should have crashed. Penny said Classic, that was a lose-lose situation. Classic said, bro, if you talking about me, say that game.
What are you talking about?
He said he a big boy. I think he put that in when you were talking about something.
Oh no.
Classic said 100. Classic said people will respect you more or less if they know you'll slap them versus knowing you won't hurt a fly. Classic said every grown adult has been molded by trauma. It's literally called life. Classic said plug story times full of trauma and growth from the trauma. Growth is also a trauma response, technically.
Did you want to respond to that, Plug?
That's right. I don't. Let me find the definition of trauma. Anyone has it, or should I look it up?
And no, I wasn't talking about you, class. I would tell you if I was talking about you. I would definitely tell you.
No,
I know you can
trauma. Trauma is anything physical or psychological injury or experience that overwhelms a person's ability to cope and has lasting effects on their well-being. So, by that definition, no. But by that definition, no. Because I had to see, because I don't get shook when I see police officers. I don't get shook when I, hear cell doors closing. You know what I mean? Like I went through some things. I faced them. I came out on the other side. I didn't run. I faced them. I went through them. I didn't go around them. I ain't try to get out of them. I went through them. And then that was the growth, because I always said, man, most of the things you try to get out of be the things you need to go through so you can come through on the other end a better person. So by that definition, no.
Yeah,
it wasn't trauma.
And when I talk about trauma for Classic and those in the chat, when I talk about trauma, I also reference how people receive the trauma, right? If that makes sense. Like when you think about Boys in the Hood, right? When he said, "Hey man, you want to go see a dead body?" Like to some people that could be trauma. That could be something that was horrifying, something that, but for some people that are desensitized to it, right? Or people who just live in it, I don't feel like that trauma affects them in that manner. Like it can like kind of almost shape shift, if that's what they call it. But I always feel like how you receive the trauma is different, because you talked about it today, Classic, on your show. Like when you talked about people going through like slavery and then the generational gaps. But I also feel like people who never truly experienced slavery, that trauma still is not going to be as strong. You can make it stronger by reading books and getting yourself filled up with the trauma and kind of make yourself project it outward. But I feel like a lot of people who really haven't experienced that, they really don't understand it. They just kind of running with the narrative that other people are giving them to run with. So I always feel like it's all about how you receive your trauma as well, right? Like for myself, I don't react like a guy who's been to Iraq and Afghanistan. Like I don't react like that. Like you wouldn't see certain things that would bother. Yeah, like I'm not hopping from certain noises, and like, so everybody, I feel like it's all about how you receive the trauma, how you process it, that then defines to who some people are going to be. Like some people become a victim of their trauma, and then they become defensive because of their trauma, and then they try to then cover their trauma up with the things that they gain, not knowing that at the core you're still who you are. Like it doesn't matter. It'll just take the right person to bring you back to reality, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I know what you're talking about.
As I said, you gotta stay dangerous. He said, likewise, rain all day, every day. That one crash out, that one crash got you your respect. Look at that. Definitely. Jacksonville kid, that Mayo person in Fort Lauderdale. Oh yeah, Walmart jumped out of his car. I said no. Yeah.
Okay.
Question.
I appreciate you coming in with that.
How did y'all receive that? I mean, after the entire video came out.
I haven't seen all of the whole video.
Oh my God.
I just seen like the little snippet of it. I didn't look like all into it. So that could be
Tune in to No Middleman tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll look at it. I ain't seen that.
Yeah.
Bruh.
Hawks ATL, welcome in. First impressions are the most important interactions. Set your boundaries from jump.
1000.
Classic is food. Classic says, so what I mean is some people get traumatized and it makes them pick up a crazy work ethic and they become more stable in other areas of life. The trauma response had benefits.
Okay.
Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe, and all
that. That I can dig. That I can dig.
Yeah.
I can dig that. Yeah.
Would you? Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
Because I'll figure out how to word it. Maybe he'll talk about it on his next show. I just wonder, like, can you read the definition again of trauma, plug?
The trauma. Trauma is anything physical or psychological. Is any physical or psychological injury or experience that overwhelms a person's ability to cope and has lasting effects on their well-being.
And see, when somebody says lasting, I guess you can look at it as positive.
Because the military, you could say the military boot camp and AIT, going through the beginning stages of military has some sort of trauma, because you do have lasting effects from that, being that they have instilled. But that means it could be.
You see what I mean?
It could be. I like, you got to see it. Is it positive?
Positive. Like, it's hard for me to call something that has a positive outcome
trauma.
Truly trauma.
That's why I was like, because I was like, dog, a lot of stuff that I did go through instilled a better quality in me. You know what I mean? Like they say, like basic training either enhance what's bad about you or make what is good about you better. But it says it does have a long-lasting effects on their well-being. But that I wouldn't necessarily equate trauma and good at the same time. So it's like, nah.
He said, see. No, so that's what I'm trying to. I would almost put that in like a eustress category, like the positive form of stress. Like, I wouldn't even say that's trauma. I think you experienced something that was stressful that you then turned that into, it became something that fueled you. But I don't know. We'll have to break it down, class. We have to break it down.
That eustress. I live in eustress. I am a walking eustress, because that healthy stress that I put on myself gives me my drive to keep pushing. Like when I'm tired, I'm at hour 12 and I got one more to go. It's like, I got to get this done. You know what I mean? Like, so I live in that eustress.
Hawks ATL said, everyone's different. Everyone deals with things differently.
Shout out to Hawks, man. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, man.
Classic said, I don't think the defense mechanisms are all bad. We always want people to work through things. I believe harboring has benefits too.
Keeps you sharp. It keeps you sharp.
He said, I know there are things that I don't desire to get over. It's great fuel.
We got to get over those, class. I don't know what it is. We got to get over those.
But hey, when you got, like, say, that this is a unhealthy situation and a person's moving like it's not, you like, hey man, hey, you need to tighten up, bro. You know where we at right now. You know what I'm saying? Like that